Hello, and welcome once again to Professor Black's History. Of course, always coming to you from the shadows until we can find a way to make sure that African American and Black history is more prominently placed in history textbooks. Of course, we always like to tell you about somebody we think you might not know about. And in this edition, we're going to talk about a man who many people have never heard of, but I'm sure they know had to exist, considering the way things are today. The man I'm talking about is the first African American graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point. And his name is Henry O. Flipper. Now, he has an outstanding story. I think if a movie producer like Spike Lee or Tyler Perry were to get into Henry O., they could make a great adventure story. Henry O. Flipper was actually born in slavery and emancipated after the Civil War. He graduated from Atlanta University, or he went to Atlanta University, and while at Atlanta University, he got a commission to go to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Now, there were already some African American cadets at West Point, and of course, all of them experienced lots and lots of racism, and it was very bad on them. Those guys either dropped out or got put out for some reason or another, usually some trumped up reason. But Henry O. Flipper was the guy who stuck it out, and he was able to persevere, and he graduated in 1877. And about midway of the class, he was a pretty smart guy. He received the commission as a second lieutenant, and he became what is known as a Buffalo Soldier because he was in the 10th Cavalry Regiment. The 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiment were the Buffalo Soldiers. That's a story for another time, and I'm telling you, that's one of the most fun and adventurous stories you'll ever hear. We'll get into that another time. But anyway, Henry O. was a Buffalo Soldier, and he even participated in the capture of Victoria, the famous Apache that they were chasing in the year 1880. Henry O. Flipper was falsely accused of embezzlement, and he was brought up on charges. Even though he was found not guilty on those particular charges, they actually court-martialed him anyway because of another charge that was brought up during the trial, and they court-martialed him for not being an officer and a gentleman or some such stuff like that. Anyway, after the court-martial, he became a civil engineer. He worked in Mexico, he worked in South America. He also did a lot of translating for the United States government, translating Spanish documents into English. He was a very successful man even after the Army. But while he was at West Point, one thing I didn't bring up before, while he was at West Point, he went through what they call the silent treatment. Now imagine yourself being at a school for 3 or 4 years and no one ever speaking to you unless they absolutely positively had to. He endured all that, and like I said, became a Buffalo Soldier, and again, his story would make a great movie. And President Bill Clinton pardoned him in 1999, and Henry O. Flipper, again, is the first African American officer to lead troops in the United States Army, and he, of course, the first African American graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point. One of my favorite guys to talk about, Henry O. Flipper. The next time I've got something good for you, right here on Professor Black's History.